Om Namah Shivaya.
Continuing our journey to Kailash Mansarovar, in this part we travel through the Tibetan plateau through some rugged, barren but nevertheless very beautiful terrain to reach Lake Mansarovar, where we will stay for a night. After that we move to a small town called Darchen. Darchen, you may say, is the base camp for doing the Kailash Parikrama. But before that, I tell you the divine experience that I had before Ashtapada. In this part, we also come across the mighty river Brahmaputra, which originates from a glacier near Kailash, and also the unholy but nevertheless very beautiful Rakshas Tal, whose water nobody touches. Edmund Hillary famously said, "It is not the mountains we conquer, but ourselves." Remember, by day 6, many of the people had started getting altitude sickness, which included headaches, insomnia, and nausea. And for some, it stayed throughout the trip. Very disturbing indeed. So let's do our journey on day 6. On day 6, we will be traveling to the military town of Saga, a distance of 230 kilometers. We started at around 9:30 after breakfast, and after just about 20 minutes, we stopped at a place overlooking a valley with jagged edged mountains on the backdrop. Below us was the green patterned farming land. The climb started soon thereafter. No more talking. Let's sink into our seats and devour the barren beauty. We drove mile after mile without any incoming traffic and not a soul in sight. Oops, there is someone. Around 11, we crossed the La Lungla Pass at 16,424 feet. Unlike other passes where you climb up and then go down, this was in a plateau. For the first time, we were so near to the clouds that it made very dark shadows on the ground and also on the mountains. What a beautiful sight indeed. As the saying goes, when you are stuck, just look at the sky and the clouds tell us that everything changes. Lunch was near the lake Peguso. Our kitchen truck had reached before us, and by the time we reached, they had heated the food cooked at Nayalam. 2 trucks were moving with us all the time, the other one for carrying our luggage, kitchen tents, etc. I met a local family there and they seemed much more than their actual age due to the high exposure to the UV rays and extreme weather conditions. Tibetans have been kept poor, but nevertheless they managed a smile. We could even see a little child begging for money. Just behind us, behind the clouds, is the highest mountain in Tibet, Shishupangama, at 8,027 meters. It's the 14th highest in the world and the last of the 8,000er to be climbed. Before reaching Saga, we came across the mighty Brahmaputra river. It's called Yarlung Sangpo in Tibet and which originates from a glacier near Kailash. Interestingly, most of the Indian rivers have a female name, whereas this one means son of Brahma. We stopped for some time. Saga is a military town at 14,548 feet. It's a little bigger than Nyalam. Maybe you can call it a 4th Street town. The total distance of 230 kilometers we covered in a drive time of about 4 hours. We were put up in Hotel Saga, which was a 4-star and the best in town. There was a supermarket in our hotel and everything was available. No price was listed and all depended upon your convincing sign language and bargaining power with the help of a calculator. Google Translator wasn't that popular at that time. I bought 1 kg apple for 10 yuan or about 80 rupees, quite cheap. We took a stroll in the market but returned early as water was available only for 3 hours and we had to take a bath. And there was also a briefing by our Chinese guide. Pani hai?
पानी तो है ही नहीं, कमोड में भी नहीं, फ्लश में भी नहीं, वॉश बेसिन में भी नहीं.
That's the real picture. The briefing was primarily about booking of ponies and porters for the parikrama. He said that as per our requirement, he will requisition them from nearby villages. Take it with a pinch of salt. Porters were available for 200 yuan a day and they carry up to 15 kgs and ponies cost 400 yuan a day, but then you need to book the ponies for all the 3 days of the parikrama. The body was already under stress by that time. And not to take any chances, out of the 39 people who decided to do the parikrama, only 7 could muster the courage of not booking a pony and decided to do the 45-kilometer parikrama on foot. I was one of them. Day 7 will be a long day as we will travel more than 500 kilometers up to Mansarovar. A very long distance, but looking at the road condition, it seemed okay. We first passed Dongba town far on the right, which was also an option to stay. Here comes Paryang, a tiny hamlet that came up just to facilitate the Kailash pilgrims. We were warned by our operator about this place for a very strange reason. We were told that if someone had to get up at night to answer nature's call, he must carry a flashlight and stick, as the dogs of Paryang are man-eaters. Why? Because there is a place like the Parsis' Dakhma, which is the Tower of Silence, which is used to keep the dead bodies here that are then eaten by the dogs and birds. They have got the taste of human flesh and have now become ferocious and man-eaters. Scary, isn't it? We had our lunch midway at a place which had a restaurant, but it was just a mud house. So our kitchen people, they just heated the food and served it in the open. So we just sat there and enjoyed our food. We crossed 3 passes, including the highest in the trip, Mayumla Pass at 17,000 feet. Our driver got down and tied prayer flags, which is very customary there. Finally came the moment of reckoning. We reached our dream destination of Holy Mansarovar Lake at 4:45 p.m. Kailash was also visible in the far. The lake was to our left, and we had our first darshan of the holy mountain. A redeeming moment for all of us. Om Namah Shivaya. We stopped at the lake's bank a little ahead for the first touch of the water. Some kneeled down to offer prayers. The water was of pristine blue color, and there were even some black ducks, which someone said were personification of the Lord Brahma. At 15,000 feet, Mansarovar is the highest freshwater lake in the world. Its perimeter is 88 kilometers and depth about 90 meters. The locals do a parikrama of the lake on foot over a period of 2 to 3 days. We moved on and came to Rakshastal, another lake northwest of Lake Mansarovar. About Rakshastal, legend has it that Ravana had performed austerities here on this small island to please Lord Shiva, and also managed to please him but could not fulfill Shiva's condition. And finally this lake was formed out of water which came out of Ravana's tummy. This lake is considered inauspicious and nobody touches its water. The Satluj river originates from Rakshastal. I had never seen clouds descending upon ground like this before. For the first time during our trip, we stayed in literally mud houses. Each room had just 6 beds in it, and there was hardly any place to keep our luggage. But on the flip side, the moment I came out of the room, there was pristine blue Mansarovar in front of me, with Mount Kailash on my left. I kept standing there for I don't know how long, soaking myself in the ethereal scene with the cool breeze lapping on my face. A disturbing sight was the concrete structures that were coming up on its shore. The most satisfying day of the trip so far. The morning time was free on day 8, and many people did some small puja ceremony etc. on the banks of the lake. 5 of us decided to have some climbing practice, and we went to the Chiu Gompa on the hillock nearby, and we also met some locals there. Halfway through there was a chorten around which yak horns were kept along with the stones with inscription of Om Mani Padme Hum, whose semantic meaning is behold, the jewel is in the box. It can also be seen as a condensed form of all Buddhist teachings. After having our lunch, we moved to Darchen, just 25 kilometers away. The day was cloudy. We didn't go to our hotel, but straight away went to Ashtapad. The road to Ashtapad was what 4-wheel drive vehicles were there for. We passed through riverbeds and over rocks and boulders. Ashtapad actually is in front of Kailash with Nandibul on top. It was cloudy, so we couldn't see Kailash. Nandibul was also partly behind clouds. After where the jeeps left us, we had to climb about 75 meters to the top of the hill, which was actually an extension of Ashtapad. It was here that I suddenly had this strange feeling of being very near to God, and I actually am in His abode. The stillness of the place was thinly layered by the soft gushing sound of the stream coming down from Kailash. I sat down as far as I could, drenching myself in the aura of the holy mountain. The atmosphere was charged and my mind calm. So sliding into a meditative state was quick and rather easy. Soon all the background noise of people talking faded into oblivion, and a feeling of eternal peace engulfed the whole of me. Nothing else in the world seemed to matter. A strange kind of divine emptiness, a feeling to die for, something which I can never express in words. I knew that I have got what I came here for. Distinctly feeling blessed. Back to Darchen, we checked into our hotel and retired early, getting ourselves ready for the parikrama the next day. We take a break here, and when we return for the final part, I tell you about the toughest part of the trip, the 45-kilometer long parikrama of Mount Kailash over 3 days, especially the second day when I walked 22 kilometers and crossed Dolmala Pass at 17,500 feet. So stay with me. Om Namah Shivaya.